Hello, my name is Xavier Mercado, and this is Spearhead Conversations. Today, I'm joined by special guest Jeffrey McAlister, president of MKE Fashion Week. He is also a fashion professional as well as an event producer. I met him at my first open studio when he came in with a large crowd, large presence,
right.
And he definitely stood out. I definitely took on to what he was wearing. I'm like, this is a good-looking guy. But we definitely, we talked a little, got to know each other, and I really felt the vibe. I really felt like he was someone that needs to tell his story. So I invited him onto the platform, and here he is today. So without further ado, how you doing, Jeffrey?
Hey, I'm really good. I'm so glad to be here. I appreciate you taking the time out to have me here with you today.
Yeah, definitely, man. I've, you know what I mean? With all my guests, I do my research, and I've definitely looked over your social platforms, and man, you are one busy man.
I stay busy.
Well, you know, with such an accomplishment, president of Fashion Week, MKE, that has to be a weight on the shoulders, man.
Yeah, a little bit, but honestly, it was always like a bucket list item for me.
Yeah,
because I live, eat, and breathe fashion.
For sure.
So for me, it was the opportunity came at the time that it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Well,
also outside of that, you're someone that you're a fashion professional. So all of the things of like stylist, you know what I mean, coordination, as well as an event producer.
Yes.
Those type of things, man, to make it your own, create your own name, and then to be established and known for that.
Yes.
I gotta say, salute to you, and I'm definitely happy you're here.
Appreciate it.
So you ready to jump in?
Let's jump in.
Let's do it, Jeff. So where were you born?
Well, I'm not from Milwaukee, but I've been here long enough to say I am Milwaukee. But
Yeah.
I was born in Beloit, Wisconsin.
Beloit?
Yes, little small town, southern border of Wisconsin, northern tip of Illinois.
Yeah, so my wife's family is from Rockford.
See?
Not that far away.
Yep, just down the road. Down the road.
So Beloit, man. All right. So
Yes.
how was your childhood growing up there?
I would say I had a great childhood.
Yeah.
Mom and dad were there, 3 older sisters. I was the baby, the only boy. So yeah, I was spoiled a little bit. But parents loved each other, married for 65 years.
Oh, God bless. Oh my gosh.
So, it was great. It was great. 3 older sisters. So we had what we needed, and in any household, if there was something we didn't know, you know what I'm saying? We had a roof over our head. We had food. We had clothes. We were able to go out and play. There was just, so whatever, if there was anything else going on, we didn't know.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean? I always say with me, like growing up, we didn't have it all, but we had what we needed.
Exactly.
And that right there, you know what I mean? Parents, they're so special, like they protect you from they protect your innocence. At least parents that are there are supposed to do. You know what I mean? And I could tell that with yours. So kudos to them and salute on 65 years. You don't hear that much, man.
No, they were in there for the long haul. I mean, they're no longer here. They live very long lives.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but 65.
Can I do this for them?
Sure.
All right. Let's give them a band. Well, they definitely raised someone to, you know what I mean? Look what you've done. They'd be proud. But what type of hobbies were you into growing up?
Wow. Well, growing up, I did like art, which is, we're sitting in the art studio. So I did like drawing a little bit. I was always into photography, somewhat. I did like to build things a lot. So I always like putting things together, those types of things. So those were kind of my hobbies. And I like to cook. So I was always in the kitchen with my mom. I was always in the kitchen with grandma, somebody, cooking and looking at what they were doing.
Man. Well, it worked. It worked right in with you and
Yeah.
what you're doing today. So
Exactly.
kudos once again, man. Just doing it.
Yeah.
What do you feel was your earliest memory of coming on to that, that liking of fashion, and your earliest memory of remembering like this is something I like?
Wow. Well, it'll be I'm going to say probably as early as probably grade school. I'll say like 4th, 5th grade. So, once again, being the only boy, so my dad would bring me here to Milwaukee
Yeah.
to shop. So, and just watching him and watching how he put suits together, how he would dress, how his brothers and sisters and stuff, they would dress. It just made me be more that I was always into that. That was the thing, that's where my words came from.
When did you feel it became something serious? Because, in that 4th, 5th grade, you come onto it, you have a liking for it. Your dad is a big influence. At what point did you, take it in a serious note that, okay, this is something I want to actually get into and stick with?
Actually, I'll say it was probably college.
College?
It was college. Okay. I always liked clothes. I always liked to dress nice. But the fashion really took root for me when I was in college. And that would be when I just first, put my feet into modeling and things like that. So then, of course, that heightened the awareness or the want to do more with fashion, and
Yeah. Who do you feel during that duration were big influences for you to keep at it?
Wow. Really, I would still have to say it would still be my father. I met a lot of cool people, in college that did have impact, but he was just always that driving force behind the appearance, and that's always where my point of reference would go back to.
Yeah.
So it was really, I tell people I'm like a 2.0 version of him, basically, just evolving on my own, bringing it together myself.
Yeah, I got to say, man, me around 4th, 5th grade is when, actually I'll say 5th grade, but then middle school was next year. So right around that time is where I started, I don't want you to dress me anymore, Mom. I want to dress myself. And then Tracy McGrady was a big thing when I was in the 6th grade. So after that, it was kind of like trying to build my own style. And yeah, man. Well, this is something that you took on and you ran with.
Yes.
Yes. So is there any formal education that goes into this career you've pursued, or is this something that you kind of ran by yourself and, you know what I mean, gunslinger out here, just, you got the attention of people and, built your own?
Yeah. So technically there is. I did not take that route.
Yeah.
It was a very organic, as just an organic thing that just grew and evolved into itself, just like, basically. Like I said, I started looking at GQ magazine when I was in high school. Who does that? I'm looking at GQ magazine as opposed to, other things that, high school kids look at. And I really looked at that. I was looking at what they were wearing. I was looking at New York. I was looking at Paris and London and different things like that. And I really, and then there's certain TV shows you would watch and you would admire what certain people are wearing in certain television shows and stuff like that. So it really was just an evolution of me studying the industry, studying fashion, studying what other models are wearing, looking at what they're doing in the shows and, things like that.
That type of period, I feel like you learn the most about yourself. In that duration, what did you feel you learned most about yourself?
That, as far as about myself, is that it was a period of learning how to really define who I was, coming into my own. It was a period of realizing that I didn't have to fit into any mold or frame or to, it wasn't cookie cutter.
Yeah.
It's creativity and learning how. And so through that was an evolution of learning who I was and how to continue to evolve.
And there you go.
Yeah.
Well, you have your own company.
Yes.
And this is where, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You've made a name for yourself. Yes. And you're out here and you're working with the most elite in the city as far as fashion goes. The models are beautiful. The projects that I've seen have been inspiring. What was that? What inspired fashion? It's called FashionSense. What
Yes.
inspired that?
Well, it's a funny story. So it originally wasn't even called FashionSense. It was originally called Original Looks by McAlister, J. McAlister. And, when you're playing around trying to come up with the name, and then, I was like, I don't know. And just, I thought about like, God, I don't know. I think it was through a conversation. I was like, people just really need fashion sense, and so that's just kind of where it came from. Fashion Sense, the company itself. It was in the midst of me pulling together my first fashion show, my first solo show, and so I decided this would be the next step or the next phase of where I would go, and that's how the brand was introduced, or how I kind of moved into that.
What do you feel it represents, and what does it mean to you?
To me, it's all things fashion. Fashion Sense is really tapping into each individual's identity through helping them to tap into their identity through how they dress.
Yeah.
So it's not about me making you dress like I do or anything like that. It's really getting to know the client or the individual and figuring out who they are, what their fashion sense is, and then helping them to bring that to light or to evolve it from where it already is.
So what barriers did you face in the beginning of starting out Fashion Sense?
One, I would say developing relationships with stores, boutiques, because of the simple fact I was new. No one, I hadn't done anything. I didn't have a track record.
Yeah.
So it was all about really trying to develop new relationships. So that was really hard. When I think about the first fashion show that I did, because it was primarily male focused, I did have females in the show. Yeah. So I thought, this is going to be great. I'm going to be able to get men's stores. I'm going to be able to all of that. But then going in, it was a whole different story. And so, it really was working and trying to make those connections, was one. Two, getting people to understand the value of a stylist and what a stylist really does. Those were the two biggest things.
Man. Well, what year was this founded?
2015.
2015.
Yeah, so it's been around for a minute.
It's going on 10 years. Going on 10 years, man.
Yeah.
You gotta give a pat on your shoulder. We're gonna do this. It's coming. With this, what roles do you play amongst your position?
Wow, I run it. I'm the stylist. I do all of it. There really is no one else right now.
Stylist, model, producer, you name it.
Yeah, I do all of it. Model coaching, model mentoring. It encompasses all of that. Man,
how do you balance between those roles?
I've learned it gets to be hard sometimes, I will admit, because there's a part of me that's always creating and have ideas, let's say if I just want to do a photo shoot to highlight, the brand or something like that. But then I also have clients. Then there's a show. So one thing I've had to learn is that I've had to bring other people on at, necessary times, and there is a small crew that I call on, when I really need them to step in and to help out. So the balance is, it's been a learning curve. It's been a learning curve.
How do you feel Milwaukee has attributed to your success?
I think in the fact that it's a bigger city, being in a big city. So for me, my journey was Beloit to Madison, where I went to school, and then here to Milwaukee. And so when I look at Milwaukee, I look at, the size of the city, the diverse population, just the different communities that are here from a professional level to a cultural level. And I think the opportunity to be able to tap into all those different areas has been a huge help to where Fashion Sense is now. Yeah.
Well, this type of career, it's been surrounded around fashion. You also are an event producer. Yeah. So the production of events. How did you get into that?
Well, it was a part of the journey. So once again, when you look at, fashion shows and what happens, I have been in them as a model.
Yeah.
I have attended them as an attendee, but I never actually worked a show.
Yeah.
So then there was those opportunities for me to volunteer, to know what actually happens behind the scenes. So it was kind of like doing that and then moving in to be able to produce my show, because then I walked in knowing from the perspective of a model, knowing from the perspective of an attendee, and then knowing from the perspective of someone who's actually worked behind scenes, what it takes to produce a good show and, what I would not want in mind.
Yeah. How would you address as far as like curating the show to reflect style and culture? How do you bring that into factor?
Really, it's the theme, or what it is that I'm the theme, what I'm trying to pull, what I'm trying to put out there.
Yeah.
And then it's a whole evolution process. So it's like I think about, okay, what does the message behind the show need to be, and then from there I think about, okay, what designers will be in there with me, or what my collection is going to be like, what's the music going to be like, and then making sure that the people that attend or the people that are interested, will feel like they can connect to it. So it's a number of moving pieces there.
In what ways have you, made it to collaborate with community? Because I always feel like community is so powerful, and especially with what you do, the vision, the creativeness that you, from afar put into the production. How does that come together?
It comes together really good.
Yeah.
One thing that, I've learned, and, I would tell anybody, you really got to get out here, network, and get involved and let people know who you are. And it's really almost a payback type of thing, or, I'm supporting you. I really want to be out here, and I want to show you how this can all connect together.
Yeah.
For all the communities. So, that's kind of how it works for me. Yeah.
Do you feel like, do you often use community to, create these projects?
Oh yeah, always. If we can find a way to work with organizations, some of our best ideas have come from community organizations. We love that, because again, for me, fashion it is about clothes. It is about looking great. But one of the things that I've learned through being a stylist and working in fashion is that it is an opportunity to change people's lives and to change how they think about themselves.
Oof.
So being able to connect with community organizations or connect with the community, it could actually impact a person that comes to the show, or it could impact a model that's never done it or never been in the show or never worn certain types of clothing. So it's those levels of opportunities there. So that it's always about trying to get the community involved.
It's powerful what you just said, man. Because being a part of an event such as yours, like you said, giving someone that type of confidence, that's something that's gonna change someone for the rest of their life. So that right there, I gotta say, like, that's power.
Yeah, it is. It's a great thing.
Man,
it is.
What keeps you motivated and driven?
I would say to be able to leave a legacy of work, kind of just really with what I said, that has impacted other people. For me, it's like there's a number of things that I do that I don't even attach a fee to. It's just certain things. If I see, for example, if I see models that are really hungry and that they really want to do this, I will give that time. I don't charge. I'm not like, oh, you got to do this per hour. People are like, you know what, you should, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, but it's also too, I want to make sure they're really serious about it.
Yeah, of course, of course.
But it's just something about them, being able to help and to push them, and it's great. I can look now and look on, social media on Instagram, there's a couple models that I've worked with or shot with. They're
Yeah.
in New York, two are in New York, another one is in DC. They're really doing, good things.
Yeah.
And to hear that, I got signed or, I got put into the show. So it's really leaving a legacy that impacts people to push them to where they want to go and to say, you know what, working with Jeff did this or having the opportunity to do this. So that's what keeps me going.
Yeah. For you, what has been most fulfilling in this journey up till now?
I would say the impact that I've had on clients and models. Once again, kind of going into a story, some of the models that I've selected, especially some of the guys, are guys that have never modeled.
Yeah.
So they don't, they just throw on sweats, jeans, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Then I put them in a suit, put them in dress shoes, whatever, and to see the change in them and how they feel about themselves and, things like that, that's been very impactful. Or, there's been those prom clients. I've had prom clients, I've had wedding clients. So to see the groom, the bride, different ones very happy from the results of the work that they've had. And it's like, I'm permanently a part of their memory.
Yeah.
I made this day very special for them that they will always remember. So those have been the rewarding moments. I could probably go on and on about those.
What have been milestones or achievements that really stand out for you?
My first fashion show would be a milestone.
A milestone?
That was huge for me.
Yeah.
It was great to be able to do that first show. It was everything that I wanted it to be, and there was a standard that I wanted to be set with that show, and an impact and a memory left. And I'm proud of it because to this day, people are like, "When are you doing your show again?" I remember going to your show. The other thing about it was that, as we know, a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes, and that was a big milestone. Also, because there was a lot going on behind the scenes during that period. We found out that my father, he had always had heart issues.
Yeah.
So it ended up that he needed to have a heart surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And this all came out the week of my show.
Oof.
So
That's a lot of weight.
yeah. And so, they were like, no, he's got to go in. He's got to do this. So he was, unfortunately, he was at St. Luke's. So they ended up bringing him up here to St. Luke's.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to rely on other people to carry out, because for the whole day, I just was like, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And then he got through the surgery. Then Friday, I was right back on top because the show was Saturday.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and I didn't want to leave. And they're like, no, he's here. You go. We know what's going on, and we'll keep you up to date, that type of thing. So it carried a lot of emotional weight to it. And, and so sometimes I don't think people understand all that goes on behind the scenes. There could be, not just at a show, there could be other things. So that's always, I see a huge milestone, because I don't know how many people would be able to push through all of that, in a day. But for me, it's just, it's the God connection. It's having a family that supports and good people behind you.
Yeah.
So, that would be one. The other would be the first time I showcased at Milwaukee Fashion Week, because I didn't foresee that actually happening, because normally in Milwaukee Fashion Week, they don't feature stylists. It's normally designers. Mm-hmm. So in 2018 they came to me and they were like, hey, would you like to be a stylist, in Fashion Week? So I was like, wow, yeah. So that was another one that was really, really big for me.
That's major, man.
Yeah.
Well, since then you have evolved, and now the opportunity of, president of Fashion Week.
Yes.
You went from being asked to be a stylist to now you running the thing,
Right.
How did that opportunity come about?
Well, I was on the previous board of Milwaukee Fashion Week in 2019, and I was director of production, and then everything ceased, you know.
Yep.
So it was resurrected in 2023 by Francisca Rodriguez. And so I was asked to, I had the opportunity to become a part of the new board.
Yeah.
And so was just on the general board and just really fell in there. It was a great group. Loved the vision, loved the people, the new group that was assembled. And so it was just really about putting in the work. And, I didn't know when or how. And so it just got to be it was just a situation where, hey, she was going to be stepping down because she's got a lot of, you can only do things for so long, and life has other things to do. And so the conversation was had, and, said, would you be interested in doing it? Do you feel you're ready? And I said, yeah, I think I am. Yeah. So that's really, it happened when it was supposed to, because there was another opportunity years ago for it to take place, but things were not aligned the way that I feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I felt this. So, I feel like God put you in position at the right time.
What does it feel to have such a role now? Like, what does that mean to you?
It is a great feeling. Of course, there's always a little bit of, nervousness or fear, because you're like, this is a huge responsibility in a lot of ways, and everybody's watching you. And I know how I am. I don't like stuff to get messed up. I want everything to be perfect, but we got to realize everything is not always going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But it's a great feeling to finally be in it and feel like you're supposed to be in it, and the level of support, the outpouring of support, the people that are very happy and genuinely happy, is just a great feeling. So that's that extra boost or push to keep going.
Yeah.
So.
Well, with this type of event, what's most important in the way you're connecting through Fashion Week?
With this event, or
the event coming up, we could say.
Yeah. So, again, it's about utilizing community, bringing as many people together. Very excited about, we expanded our board this year. So we've brought on some additional board members that has allowed us to have an even more diversified board, to bring in more opportunities for us to have a bigger impact in the community. So that's one of the things I'm just very excited about. We're going to be downtown in the public museum, of which is going to be closing.
Yep.
So, that's going to be a real big deal to possibly be the last fashion event in the old public museum.
Wow.
So it's really about, we're thinking about, how it's going to connect the community, the downtown, and everybody together. So it's going to be real cool. So that's what I'm,
Hey, I don't mind letting my balls fade out. You know what I mean? Run a runway real quick.
Hey, it's gonna be really, really nice.
I gotta say, back in high school, my junior, senior year, I wasn't the first year, but my senior year I was a host. But my first year I fashioned off, the runway.
Yeah.
And then the second year with the fashion show that we did for our school, I emceed. I actually, with my family's neighbor, I made a deal with me. So prom, both the years that I went, I didn't have to pay for my tux. Basically made a deal around the fashion show was prom. So I made a deal. I hand out flyers at lunchtime.
Right.
And I get a free tux.
Hey.
And you can't beat
that.
You know what I mean? So definitely. Well, Milwaukee is your scene. Milwaukee, you've made your own. And with much success, you're here, and the impact is very deep. What do you feel is your opinion on fashion in Milwaukee as of right now?
Get this question a lot. I feel like Milwaukee's fashion has evolved immensely from when I first moved here. It's been really great to see a lot of different brands, a lot of new designers come to life here that are being birthed here. people say, well, what is Milwaukee's fashion identity? And I'm like, I think we're just different. The Midwest is just different. We're just kind of eclectic, and you kind of own whatever it is. And I mean, I think across the board, they talk about, well, LA, New York, and different places, but when you strip it down, everybody's kind of borrowing everybody's and just kind of redefining it into their own. But Milwaukee has some really, really cool designers and stylists and different things here. And, the evolution of it has been really great.
Who is someone right now that you would like to potentially work with?
Here in the city or?
In the city.
Let me see. I've worked with a lot of people.
We'll do one in the city and then one outside of the city.
That's a hard question, because I've actually, a lot of the ones that I like to work with, I've already. Well, okay. He's a streetwear designer. I haven't actually, I guess I should say, I haven't walked or showcased or did anything in conjunction with him yet.
Yeah.
But it's a designer, Hades. He has a really cool, design aesthetic and, streetwear brand. We haven't technically done anything together yet. He's walked in Fashion Week for streetwear, but me personally, we haven't actually done a project together yet.
So here it is. We're gonna put that into the universe.
Yeah.
And who knows, it might come about.
Yeah.
Maybe when Hades sees this episode. But how about outside of the city now?
Outside of the city, so I would love to work with Dapper Dan.
Okay.
That man just made a mark, made a huge impact, and now he's with Gucci.
Yeah.
I mean, what better person to work with?
Yeah.
What better person to work with? I would just, carry a notebook around and just so I could just be there to soak up the knowledge and just see how he moves. And
for sure.
So that would be someone.
There you go, man. You heard it here first. So where do you see yourself in the next 5?
Ooh, I would doing FashionSense full time. This would be the thing. To do FashionSense full time. To be on the red carpet, to say, okay, I'm out here on the red carpet. Here's my, my client, on the red carpet, that would be the 5-year.
Wow. Well, I believe in you. I believe in it very much. And I also believe that we got to figure out a collaboration.
Yes. I believe so. I'm always down. Always down.
But we always get to this question. I always feel it's the most important because really it talks to our youth, and it's just some guidance from someone such as yourself. You know what I mean? You've created a name for yourself. You've created, just a brand that is strong within our community.
Right.
What advice would you give to, aspiring fashion professionals such as yourself, as well as our youth?
One that would cover both is no fear. Have no fear in what it is that you want to do. And I say that because, and I use myself, there was a point in my life where I had fear of really pushing to do what I wanted to do. Because I'm like listening to everyone else, thinking about what everybody else wants me to do or what they expect me to do. And so if you're going to do it, just do it. And don't worry about the mistakes that you make along the way. Just have confidence in it. We all have to do a reset. We all have to do a reset, to start over. So I think we'll be probably doing that till we're no longer here. From the fashion perspective, if you really, really want a career in fashion, you need to eat, live, sleep, breathe fashion. You need to, as I said, I was reading GQ magazine. Find out who your muse is, your inspiration is, and look at them and find out what were the steps. What do they do? How do they brand themselves? Get as much knowledge as possible. Get you a mentor locally, that to work with in whatever area that it is. Dabble in a lot of different things if you're not sure, if you just know it's fashion, but you're not sure what in fashion, So the more you research, get the experience, then that to me is what's going to make the biggest difference.
There we go.
That's it.
There we go. All right, man. Jeff, I have these, I have these conversations, but I got to say yours has been very energetic. It's fast paced, but you know what? Straight to the point. I do want to comment. I love the jacket.
Oh, thank you.
You know
thank
what I
you,
mean?
Thank you.
It's
thank
pretty
you.
dope.
Yeah, man. This is it's Urban Outfitters.
Yeah.
Focus on
Okay.
Urban Outfitters. It's I was like, okay, I gotta throw a little something on for you today.
Yeah, but what are ways people can connect with you?
So you can find me on Facebook. I have a FashionSense on Facebook. FashionSense on LinkedIn. I am J Mac Jr. So JMACJR03 on Instagram. So those are all the places that you can find me.
Man, again, I am happy. You took this time out. We finally made this happen.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely looking forward to the future as far as collaboration goes. Thank you again. And with that being said, Spearhead out.